Hi everyone, it's Cjros checking in from Vancouver, BC. We are having a snowy and frozen weekend here today, which is really nice for running and all that. Luckily, it's pretty warm inside, but we had to still bring out the Canadiana with our little toques and similar things. It's been a while since I last made a video, and I thought that it would be fun to make a video of where I instruct you how to make a basic pie crust. I think a lot of people get scared by it, but it's actually not too hard to do, and I'll give you some pointers and tips on that as we go. So before we get too far, I should probably talk a little bit about the latex that I'm wearing today. As you can tell, I'm not wearing very much, partly because I don't feel like it, but also because the butter and shortening and those fats, they're actually really bad for the latex. They'll break it down. It's better to keep that away from your latex clothing if possible. So this really doesn't make sense for me to be wearing latex while making pie. But anyways, I am wearing the I bought these shorts through a pre-app, but they're made by Mr. S Leather. They are they're called the tricolour sports shorts, I think. You can see nice blue, yellow, black. So there's a tricolour. They come with all these zippers. This 4-way zipper here and 2 in the back. I don't know if you can see that, which is really handy if you need to go to the washroom, right? Aside from that, the latex is a different sort of latex than what I'm used to. On the inner surface, it's generally a little bit matte and not shiny or glossy, but these ones, they're especially matte and almost slick. It almost feels like it's been a little bit chlorinated on one side, but I don't know if that's what happened. They're also one of the few pieces of latex that I have where the sizing is actually really accurate. So this is a size small, and most of the time when I buy a size small, it's still like a little bit baggy on me. But these ones, they're quite tight actually. They just fit right up in there. So that's kind of awesome. Yeah. Anyways, that's that. I'm going to wash my hands a little bit so that I don't get any silicone oil in the pie. So I'm actually going to be making two pies today, hopefully a sour cherry pie and an apple pie. I'm just going to use the same type of crust. And what we need to start off with is, for one pie, it would be 2 cups of flour. So I'm going to add 4 cups of flour altogether. And because I'm going to pretend to be health conscious, I'm going to have half white all-purpose flour and half whole wheat flour. So there's all that flour right in there. You can see. I'm just going to whisk it up a little bit. And you might have noticed that I wasn't terribly accurate with my measurements. The nice thing about most baking, like pies and breads and loaves, pound cakes, usually they are like you can just do what you want, more or less, give or take, and you'll still end up with something that's edible. I find that the only things that are really finicky in terms of the measurements, it's cake, and that's why I don't bake a lot of cakes. I don't like measuring much. So we have 4 cups of flour now. My next ingredient is 1 teaspoon of salt, but for me, I'm going to use 2. So I have this neat little thing from that my friend gave me. It's you can change the measurements, and it actually isn't that useful because it gets more annoying than anything, cleaning it especially. 2 teaspoons of salt, that. And then after that, that's it. I'm going to put some sugar in too. For sour cherry pie, you're supposed to be making something called was it a pâte brisée? I don't know how to say it. But that kind of, it's more of a shortening pie. And I'm not doing it properly, but I just thought sugar might help. Some sugar, randomly adding sugar in there. And then after you add the sugar and the salt, you just whisk it until it's more or less evenly distributed in your flour. And a lot of people actually can make their pie in a food processor, but for me, I've never done it before, and I only recently acquired a food processor, so I'm not going to try it. This pie is for a dinner I'm going to later tonight, so I don't want it to mess up too badly. The advantage of the food processor, I think, is that it can make your pie really dough quite quickly, so that the dough doesn't warm up. So that's the main thing with pie. You don't want it to get too wet, and you don't want it to get too warm. When it gets too warm, the butter or the lard or the shortening, it melts too much, and that makes your pie crust really hard. You actually want it to be quite flaky and dry, right? So that's why you start with really cold butter and really cold shortening. So that's what I'm going to do. So I need 2/3 cups of shortening and lard. And a bunch of butter. I use Cjros shortening, but I don't think it matters. This is actually, I pre-measured it. So I just need to chuck this whole thing, and this is why pie is bad for you. That's approximately 2/3 of shortening. All this butter in here. And this is the stuff that you want to keep away from your latex. Very bad for latex. And then you also need some butter, so I'm going to put a bunch of butter in. It says 2 tablespoons of cold butter, so 4 tablespoons. I have no idea how much that is. I don't think it really matters because you just add butter and it will taste better, right? So I'm just going to cut off a chunk of butter like this. This is what I call adding butter a la, what's her name? Julia Child. Just add butter. There you go. There's some butter. Let's put some more in. So this next step you can do with a knife, like this, or you can do it with this pastry maker thing, so it's just a bunch of like little knives stuck together. And you can use knives, and it's literally called cutting in the fat. So all you do is you just take it and just like chop it in. It's simple as that. My friend, who is a pastry chef, he actually does it just with his fingers, and he's French, so he just calls it like making. In French, I think it translates to making crumbs or making breadcrumbs. So he just goes by the texture, and basically you end up with these little chunks of flour and butter that feel like crumbs. So if you haven't done this before and it's taking you longer than you expect, what you can do is just chuck it in the freezer for a little while, and let the butter cool down again. This is the main thing. You just don't want the butter to melt. You just want it to stay nice and cold. Make little crumbs out of it. So at this point, you can see this. Maybe not. But it's your pastry is like this crumbly thing. That's what it means by making crumbs. It should be nice and loose, not stuck together too much. And what you do now is you add a bunch of cold water. So it says 4 to 7 tablespoons of cold water for one pie. So I had this water in the freezer for a little bit, and 4 to 7, usually I end up putting 10. Like so, very easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you really should be mixing it while you're doing it, but I'm lazy as fuck. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I'll mix it a little bit now. Mix it around, and your goal here is to mix it so that the crumbs start to stick together and hold together in a ball when you press into a ball. So not too much water. So hopefully that's enough water, and then that the dough sticks into a little ball. Oh crap. If not, I'll add a little bit more. I think I might have to. It's not sticking together at all. Oh god, this was a mistake. I'm getting crap everywhere. Shit. Okay. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyways, once you've added enough water, you just form your dough into a ball and then stick it in the fridge or freezer for a while. Once it's all nice and cold again, you can pull it out and roll it out into a pie shell. If you're really lazy, what I sometimes do is just instead of rolling it out, I'll press the pie straight into the shell to get that shape. Anyways, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this terrible baking video. And don't let the holidays get you down. See ya.